We've now reached the end of the course. It's time to execute the workflow. When prompted, we simulate two failures. We choose to create the test files so as to saturate slash files and decline to remove the archives. This leads to a space problem. The file transfer fails on the top two paths, allowing for the bottom path ServiceNow to proceed. We start with 3 browser windows, 2 Automic tabs at the top for assembly and monitoring, and the ServiceNow change request page at the bottom. We also have a Unix term window, which we'll use to remove the old files manually when we're prompted to do so by ServiceNow. We execute the workflow. The workflow's 2 prompt sets are activated. We're prompted to create the test files and delete the archives, which would clear some space and allow the workflow to proceed without resorting to ServiceNow. We keep the default values, yes to test files, and no to cleaning. We have files in the directory. The first job deletes the contents of slash files. When it completes, the directory is empty. The second job executes. The second job completes, creating about 21 gigs worth of test files with and without the old extension, leaving about 200 megs of space, which is insufficient for the file transfer. The next job is the file transfer. It fails. The workflow monitor has yet to refresh, and so it's still catching up. The call object is issued. It's a message notifying us that the job F has failed. The next phase happens very quickly as we did not insert wait commands. The first transfer fails. We've also declined to delete archives in order to simulate the failure. The second attempt at a transfer fails as well. ServiceNow can now start. The next phase executes very quickly as well. The 3 ServiceNow incident jobs complete in quick succession. An incident is created, a comment is added to the incident indicating that the transfer failed, and finally the status of the incident is updated. The change request was created as shown by the first completed task. The second task is the approval status check, which is post-conditioned to wait for our change request to be approved in ServiceNow. We have a new change request in ServiceNow. We'll request approval, but we won't approve it until we've removed the archives. We execute the human segment of the remediation. An operator physically removes the archives from slash files. Let's approve the change request. The CR is approved. Our workflow can now proceed. The file is transferred. The workflow completed normally. Let's take a look at some of the logs and reports. We'll start with the incident we created. In the job report, we see the post request. The information was passed by the request, such as description, state, priority, short description, caller ID, and so forth. Finally, the response issued the incident system ID and number. The activation log shows all the variables and how they're populated at activation of the job. You notice the REST agents. The other job of note changes the status of the incidents. We have the change request and the status of the approval. This time we have a GET request for a change request. The response produces all the data contained in the various fields of the change request. The report shows the variables associated with the change request. Note the approval status, not requested. This should make sense. We're looking at the activation report, meaning the value stored in those variables when the job activates. The status of the change request has yet to be captured. If you were to look at the post-processing log, you would see an updated status. It also displays the assignment group. Finally, we see the post-condition treatments. Be sure to check your values in the Details panel of the Workflow Monitor. There's no need to display the activation report. The panel shows you everything you need to see.